Greetings everyone, update 29.5 Deimos Arcana has launched on PC with a multitude of additions, changes as well as fixes. Due to the sheer amount of changes, fixes and additions with this update, I will be covering each separately in patch note form. Today's video covers all of update 29.5's fixes, as well as the follow-up hotfix 29.5.1 and its fixes. Let's begin with fishing and conservation fixes. DE have fixed losing all control functions for a short period of time after throwing a fishing spear. This was most commonly found in the Cambion Drift. Cases of issues with the Avisha circling movement used when found ambiently and when they arrive at call points that would cause them to float way up into the sky. Cryptolexes missing their conservation drone pickup animation, which created an animation pop after capturing. Conservation start points not generating on Deimos, which would prevent certain encounters from spawning. Some conservation call points spawning under endocrine, ambient spawns only spawning common fish and ignoring bait, and DE fixed fishing after landscape time changes not altering obtainable fish. Now for the Warframe Xaku fixes. DE fixed Xaku's Zata Whisper, sometimes not applying its damage buff or void status effect when using the Comarex. Zata's Whisper not using the intended status chance for projectile weapons. The HUD timer icon for Zata's Whisper in the top right corner ticking down regardless of the vast untime being active. This was a visual bug and did not affect the time freezing synergy with the vast untime and Xaku's other abilities. They also fixed Xaku's skin not being properly localized, Xaku missing their head and armor when viewed in the mod's tutorial screen, and they fixed camera obstruction and misaligned aiming if Xaku's grasp creates a Shadow armament. Now we go to game optimization. DE have remastered pre-computed reflections in many levels to improve quality and reduce disk footprint. They eliminated a bunch of spot building when loading into the planes of Eidolon, which apparently saves 0.5 seconds. They made a micro-optimization to the dynamic music system, some micro-optimizations to weapon effects, to armor items that were running unnecessary effect scripts, to input binding code. They added shadow casting light to Excalibur's Exalted Blade when deferred rendering is enabled. They made optimizations to the memory used by the codex and the memory used by the star chart. They also made a micro-optimization in cases where Cobra and Scrambus could not spawn. Systemic micro-optimizations to all gameplay code. They optimized memory use after steaming away from a region, made performance improvements to Oberon's Hallowed Ground by drastically cutting down the amount of network traffic it sends per cast. They fixed a potential performance issue where checking for out-of-range enemies on the Cambion Drift was happening every frame after 8 seconds instead of every 8 seconds. They also made a micro-optimization to the damage system and fixed a small memory leak that could occur when piloting a railjack. For controller fixes, DE fixed several issues caused by opening up the pause menu during the New War cinematic from the codex when using a controller. The controller icon set to Nintendo Switch in options, not updating the icons for customizing the controller. They fixed being unable to access the incomplete filter at the helmet using the LB and RB buttons. They fixed controllers sometimes cancelling emotes just as they had started, the emoticon prompt remaining on the screen once the chat window has been closed when using a controller, and the Necromech ability UI menu not appearing in the HUD when using a controller. For Dojo decoration fixes, DE fixed Dojo decorations with names about 38 characters long, getting cut off by the edge of the screen. Fixed being unable to shrink several Dojo decorations after you've scaled them up. Large decorations in constricted movement mode in the dojo, not moving when attempting to do so if it is out of the player's FOV. An issue with the damage and fail triggers of the trap dojo obstacle course decorations not scaling when size was changed. A placeholder tag appearing next to the reset rotation option when rotating a dojo decoration. The Tributa statue dojo decorations light defaulting to white when you attempt to move it, and they fixed all Sorgor Floof variants appearing the same in the dojo. And now we go to the game's overall fixes. DE has fixed a crash that could be caused by the missile lock-on warning you can see when in Arcwing, a crash that could occur when casting the Necromech's Necro Web ability, an inability to launch Arcwing after exiting out of a Necromech, a Warframe not being vulnerable with 90% damage reduction after directly transferring into your Necromech, a friendly roaming Voidrig Necromech disabling Limbo's Rift, a rare case of endless Deimos bounties not giving the bonus mother tokens until round 3, a rare case of endless Deimos bounties using the wrong reward table one stage too early, a rare case of infinite white screen after casting Titania's Razorwing in the Simulacrum. They fixed some star chart nodes that were unintentionally awarding pitiful amounts of credits instead of auto-calculating based on enemy level, these being Teshub and Apollodorus, as they were giving 500 credits. They fixed Mirage's Hall of Mirror clones dealing more critical damage than intended when no mods are equipped. They fixed being able to cast subsumed abilities during Hildren's Aegis Storm, which also fixes a host of issues that were caused by many subsumed ability combinations with Hildren. Each ability presented a new individual issue. They fixed Necromech regenerating ammo rounds at the same exact rate regardless of the arc gun used. Arcane buffs deactivating when you switch to and from your Arcwing in the Orvalis or Plains of Eidolon. They fixed losing the Gladiator mod set buff after performing a Void Blast as the operator. Warfans using the sword slam attacks when no stance is equipped, which resulted in a reduction of slam damage. Cases of Vor not removing his shield bubble after dropping it per his usual fight mechanics, resulting in an inability to progress in the fight. They fixed losing the ability to access the pause menu after rapidly attempting to enter the heist room in Fortuna. Octavia's Resonator not going to pick up her mallet if it was cast just off a navigation path. Unreachable Syndicate medallions spawning in the recently remastered Corpus ship tile set. They fixed dealing negative damage with Korra's Whip Claw when equipped with a negative finisher Riven. They fixed the Mausolon's primary fire area of effect not causing self-stagger. They fixed key-based star chart missions, aka Mutulus Alad V's Assassinate mission, being automatically set to private and preventing others from joining freely in the Steel Path. The Gladiator mods, Vice, Might, Rush, not stacking or applying the increased set bonus to critical chance per combo multiplier when they are applied to Garuda's Talons. Now that it's fixed, the bonus only applies when the Talons are in the single equipped melee form. They fixed Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds not applying to Garuda's Talons, and just like before, this only applies when Talons are the single equipped melee. They fixed roaming Necromechs struggling to get up certain hills in the Cambion Drift, Oxalus's botanized scans not costing charges, client authoritative actions possibly being executed twice. They fixed the Baran Prime Ephemera not being removed until leaving the arsenal. They fixed a host migration while fishing, leaving you with a zombie fish that does not move or cannot be collected. They fixed gear not unequipping after a host migration, and you'll now respawn with a gun or melee. They fixed the K-Drive Juice mod not providing energy consistently for clients. Any holster alterations for a two-handed Zor in the arsenal not being correctly applied when you leave, and it reverting back to the default standard holster type. They fixed being forced to drop the data mass when swapping to the Shadow. They fixed a rare script error with the helmet interactions. They fixed placement and clipping issues with the Metak armor set on several Warframes. The Bounty Failed banner appearing over the top of the Mission Complete banner for the host when finishing a bounty and returning to the Necrolist. They fixed a small effect issue with Zobov shotgun skin. Companions teleporting during the helmet interaction if you swap to a different furry friend in the arsenal. Issues with the domestic drones interacting with the helmet room door. Fixes were made towards improving the wobble in the reload animation for primary kit guns. Being able to use emotes in the Necromech as a client. Some environment elements in the Cambion Drift caves having clipping issues. The Hypothesis description calling it a staff instead of a polearm. Roaming Necromechs in the Cambion Drift occasionally having issues navigating small hills and getting stuck. They fixed the misspelling of Pinnacle in the Legacy Mastery Sigil description, a rare case where gear items would not equip into the gear wheel. They fixed map and in-world markers for personal necromechs disappearing after entering and exiting, an issue where your necromech's minimap marker would be visible while you're piloting it, getting stuck in the void dash animation after transferring into a necromech while crouching. They fixed the Keratinos appearing backwards and snapping back while viewing the Deimos infested bundle in the in-game market. They fixed the companion UI not updating properly while in a necromech, subsumed Warframe abilities appearing in your inventory as blueprints, a wobble on guns when changing directions and hip firing in a necromech, being unable to enter the arsenal from the pause menu while in the Orbiter Captura scene. They fixed the Deep Impact Nightwave Act resetting even when completed. They fixed simultaneously opening the pause menu and selecting options while boarding the railjack, causing your Warframe to become frozen in the pause menu animation. Railjack turret handles getting stuck in clients' arms when they use the tactical menu to teleport to another player. Spectator mode not focusing on another player when there's only 2 players in the squad. Enemy reinforcements in the Cambion Drift bounties not rushing towards players and the defense target. They fixed the Lotus Warframe customization tag appearing instead of the No Ephemera Selected tag on Vauban and Vauban Prime in the arsenal. They fixed the Necromech Necroweb Throw HUD tooltip lingering after throwing the canister. The black plane on the mirror in the isolation vaults. A Warframe losing its head if you die, then access the abilities menu. They fixed Cora's active spike setting not switching between skins, bounties auto-accepting and not allowing the client to vote if both players load into any free roam mission from the Orbiter, an unintended submersible area in the Grenier C-Lab tileset. They fixed the boar's reload animation to prevent it clipping into the side of the gun, some depth issues with features on the Plains of Eidolon Kondrox. They fixed self-damage occurring when ragdolling off of a K-drive when using certain secondaries, Darjans floating mid-air when unmanned instead of falling down to the ground as intended. They fixed being able to interact with a Kavat during the Helminth animation, companions that are released to vendors still following you after you've done so. They fixed the skybox in the Index Outpost tileset appearing as a pure white light when viewed from a distance. They fixed an incorrect Jupiter fly-in cinematic playing when loading into Ultor on Mars, an incorrect fly-in cinematic for the second Dream Quest. It was showing Venus instead of Neptune. They fixed falling off of the Corpus Outpost tile set, causing you to fall through the skybox and see through the bottom of the map. A white blown-out doorway in the Grenier Forest tile set. They fixed the effect brightness level being far too intense when several of Valbin's Bastilles are cast to the point where it would cover the entire screen. They fixed seeing the K-Drive scoreboards in the Cambion Drift Captura scene, a bunch of custom Warframe Speargun and Idol variants that were sliding, Syandana energy colors reverting to default in various situations, aka when piloting a railjack, when dying in a regular mission or in the simulacrum, and when swapping through appearance configs in the arsenal. They fixed several issues with the Oskira Throne Blade skin, such as cases where the Oskira Throne Blade skin pouches would disappear, issues with the skin making it appear as if your Warframe has tiny knives hidden in its hand after reloading, as well as scale and mesh issues. They fixed several effect and projectile issues with several pistols when the Oskira pistol skin is equipped, effect issues with the Zastra dual dagger skin, Titania appearing absolutely gigantic when using the Omni tool to return to your railjack in Razorwing after blowing up an enemy ship, Sentinel weapons missing the owned tag in the Foundry, an issue where using /unstuck while in Arcwing could put you below the ground. They fixed the exposure setting not working in Captura, the minimap in the Gas City tile set appearing doubled. Fixes were made towards black screens related to stacking effects with corrupted crewmen, a tile not rendering in the railjack boss room for Cassio's Rest. They fixed more unlocalized system error messages sometimes being shown in the UI when experiencing network problems. They fixed return issues with combo stacking melee mods like Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds not resetting while in the operator with a very specific loadout as a client. They fixed the critical chance for the Gladiator mod set bonus not setting for clients if the combo counter runs out while being in the operator. They fixed a rectangle effect appearing around Mirage's Eclipse while wielding the Tatsu with the Solstice skin, a crash caused by the Grenier cruise ship weapons, super bright lights in the Extraction cinematic in the Grenier Galleon tile set, Several issues in the Corpus Gas City tileset, such as pixelation issues in certain shaded areas, floating decals in certain areas, incorrect materials in certain areas, and overly bright lights in certain areas. They fixed the railjack wreckage being marked as under repair even if you didn't contribute anything. Staff and polearm holograms when being crafted in the foundry, shrinking in size when going in and out of the foundry. A hitch that would occur when opening the arsenal immediately after crafting a necromech. They fixed squad information not appearing in the HUD even if enabled in the options when operating a railjack turret. They fixed the secondary fire tag appearing instead of a button callout when throwing condensed thermia in the exploiter orb boss fight. They fixed sun transmissions playing over the top of conservation animal sounds when using the Echo Lure, floating above the ground in the Necrolist, the Steel Meridian flag appearing completely blown out and white, some interactions and awkward bowstring positions with Necros' animation idols, animation issues with Ivara and Ivara Prime's Artemis bow. They have fixed players on railjacks getting pulled into Arcwing when others are retreating from a Grineer cruise ship, clients seeing both their primary and Arcwing weapons equipped when in Arcwing. This was especially noticeable when using Itzel's Penumbra ability. Enemies that deploy cover getting stuck in their cover instead of moving around it, energy recovery abilities, and thrall kill tracking not counting properly in the end of mission screen. Some incorrect resource locations in the Cambion Drift, missing motion blur on Ostron and Cetus. More fixes were made towards enemy reinforcements spawning some distance away but not rushing to attack, floating resources in the swamps in the Cambion Drift, numerous floating plants in the Ambulus boss tile, the wear and tear slider value being to the 5th decimal place after setting the value and closing and reopening the menu, cases where enemies would repeatedly leave cover just after entering it. They fixed numerous skins not applying correctly to the Daiku, overly bright Orokin Vault doors, a duplicate clip eject on the Lex Prime and Euphona Prime when the Oskira pistol skin is equipped. They fixed the Oskira pistol skin not properly applying to the Sicarus Prime, the Tubercula gill system and Ferment bladder having the same image when chat linked, fur patterns incorrectly applying to Vaska Kavats. They fixed an outdated name for the derelict Somacord as it now reads Deimos Somacord. Operator sigils disappearing when switching the bodysuit, a map hole on the Cambion Drift, blown out junction skyboxes. They fixed texture streaming on place glyphs, missing unless you get close, a minor issue where the cyst would be at full size in the end of mission diorama, getting an unknown error when you try to start a companion incubation while already imprinting. They fixed an inability to open the Tab in Progress mission menu if you go into the extraction point of a mission before completing the objective. They fixed Ivara's Navigator Vitrica projectiles traveling at top speed instead of slowing down for more control. Corpus Vector shields appearing to have a black triangle when viewed from a distance. Grey-looking tentacles in the Eris-infested salvage tileset. The profile box remaining expanded even though the pause menu was closed. They fixed lighting not being updated when changing the UI until after you reload the page. The ability to toggle the free camera outside of the orbiter in the orbiter capture a scene. They fixed Chorus spawning an extra Venari when toggling the free camera in the orbiter capture a scene. They fixed the attachment point for the back of Oberon Prime's tabard being lower than that shown in the codex or chat-linked diorama. They fixed de-equipping a scanner not returning you to your active exalted weapon if one was equipped prior. They fixed the UI allowing you to select tokens even when you've reached the cap for Entrati standing. Now an error prompt explaining why will appear. They fixed moments of excessive bloom in the landing craft customization screen, the Kuva Aenga dealing self-damage, the Guandeo Prime shortening when you color customize it, an object with a texture that you can see through in the Kuva Fortress, enemy ship indicators showing up in the options menu in Railjack, numerous issues with the Oskira bow skin, the energy color of the Dulcamus Prime not working properly, the Carnus, the Jugulus, and the Saxum mod sets not being equipable on exalted melee weapons. I have no idea how to say this, but they fixed the Sujanaza Sindana not properly attaching to Excalibur Umbra, the Void Sabotage mission portal being bright and blown out, clipping in a certain tile on Lure. They fixed Mace's Peacemaker field of view stat not showing changes from ranged mods when viewed in the arsenal. a none option erroneously appearing as an Equinox skin, parts of Nefenio's face being unlit, various graphic and icon compression issues as part of our great ensmallering effort, the true master emote having a stretched icon, several camera clipping issues when parkouring around in the Corpus Gas City tileset, a crash after completing the first stage of hidden messages, an inability to equip the rifle mutation mods on the Velt, a hole in the Corpus Outpost tileset that allows you to see through the map, an issue where browsing color palettes would make your orbiter jitter with each color you hover over. They fixed the galvanic leg plate camera being too low when viewing it in the in-game market diorama, a script error related to Equinox's Rest and Rage, a script error related to looping firing animations. They fixed Wisp losing her head when duplicating during her idle agile animation set, missing bow animations when equipped with Xaku, craft times showing incorrectly for health, ammo, and energy restores in the in-game market. This has also been fixed for the anti-toxin blueprint. They fixed characters running one frame behind in cinematics. They fixed extreme fire rates with an unmodded Kuvakotak and the quads when using a rapid combination of mouse clicks. They fixed multiple map holes by extraction that was allowing players to escape the boundaries in the Corpus Outpost tileset. A flicker on Oberon's hallowed ground when it fades in, Frost and Frost Prime's capes on all skins, clipping through him in the login screen, lens blueprints appearing as purchasable in the AMP configuration screen if no lenses are owned. This also fixes unowned lenses showing as owned in the lens selection screen. They fixed certain blocks in the Corpus Outpost tileset missing collision. Fixes were made towards edge cases where players could become stuck in the Grenier Galleon tileset. The sound effect that the Sepulchrum plays when you've reached 5 kills, transmitting to all other players in the squad, regardless of distance. They fixed random unlit large mass appearing in a room in the Corpus Gas City tileset, specifically on the Amalthea Jupiter Spy mission. They fixed Helix Spin not properly resetting on sequential projectile shots, which caused a corkscrew effect to look odd coming out of the barrel. They fixed material issues with the hives in the Hive Exterminate Deimos bounties. They fixed concealed explosives not dealing explosive damage to nearby enemies when directly hit when equipped on the Spira, Kunai, Hekau, Fusilier, or Despair. They fixed invisible platforms over the crevice in the Corpus Outpost tileset, your reticle turning and staying red in the Nihil boss fight when playing as Titania, enemy levels in regular missions appearing incorrect when a quest is active on the same node, visual issues caused by maturing companions in the orbiter. They fix the incubated dome animation playing after selecting new companions or maturing them. Swapping will now be instantaneous and no animation will be played as intended. They fixed network issues that would boot you back to the logon screen after completing the star chart. The glow on the Skiajati's pommel appearing when equipped with skins. They fixed choosing none as a companion in the Railjack arsenal, causing the camera to clip into the arsenal itself. This also fixes the same thing happening when switching back and forth from the companion tab. They fixed a crash related to the codex, rendering issues with the Palatine Sign Dana, prime details, specifically with the golden ring, persisting on skins equipped on the Soma Prime. They fixed primary kit guns appearing unmastered in your profile. They fixed multiple instances of an individual prism appearing in your profile. Mesa being unable to double jump after activating Peacemaker right after jumping. They fixed focus points earned during missions appearing in the end of mission screen but not the total owned focus points. Both should now be showing as intended. Articulars in a gun pose missing the actual weapon that is equipped, lighting for Kavats in the codex looking all blown out, some lighting issues on foliage across certain tile sets, issues with text in the Railjack's tactical map when using a Warframe that has helmet abilities. They fixed some cases of enemies spawning inside and below the Cambion Drift map, underground areas in the Cambion Drift colliding with certain level cliffs, necromechs aiming sideways when moving to threats without having a valid target yet, numerous camera alignment issues when talking to Father, Mother, and Otak. They fixed the bounty stage tracker UI in Endless Bounties showing is complete on round 2. It will now reset after completing each round as intended. Fixes were made to aid objective marker flow in Deimos. They fixed the Necromech Codex entry not showing what it drops after scanning, issues with chat linking Necromech mods. an inability to chat link necromechs. They fixed issues with the necromech icon and diorama when viewed in the codex, various fixes to lighting issues in Europa and Phobos and Sedna skyboxes were made. They fixed an inability to equip skins on the Catchmoon primary kit gun. They fixed constructing Xaku in the foundry, resulting in the hologram for the Maya appearing rather than Xaku's helmet. Nezha's Prex card appearing distorted in the codex and fragment section. They fixed a frozen smoke and steam effect in the Grenier Shipyard tileset. Decoration placement issues when decorations were snapping on all 3 axes when rotate is released. They fixed the Spore Ephemera effect appearing as rectangles for Ash's Bladestorm clones, a script error that resulted in ghouls not spawning. They fixed the Necromech Shocking Iron ability Sound Loop playing non-positionally when you transfer out of the Necromech while the ability is still active. They fixed an unpleasant blinding white flash as you load a level after skipping the fly-in sequence. The Quasis and Gunson gaining different melee combo counters on first hit with the Slicing Feathers stance, and they will both have the same 3 combo counter hits from now on. Fixes and improvements to AI navigation and objective marker pathing in the Lure tileset were made. They fixed harsh waterlines and misaligned waterfalls in the Deimos Horrend tileset. They fixed overly shiny oil textures in the Grenier Settlement tileset, running out of secondary weapon ammo while holding a data mass, resulting in switching to an invisible primary weapon. They fixed embedded torrid projectiles getting destroyed by incoming damage like an electrical status effect. Kayla Dethane's health bar UI overlapping with the orbital strike warning message. They fixed Railjack Sungem Akin appearing as the default Railjack skin when viewed from the orbiter. A case of companion mowers spawning in the arsenal floor and then falling when equipped. They fixed the Cassio's Rest Railjack asteroid base not actually firing missiles at you. They fixed focus lenses missing their focus school icon when viewed in the inventory screen. Helio struggling to scan anything while you're piloting a necromech. Animation locking when switching to a weapon after using a scanner via a hotkey. Rare cases where you could summon your arc gun while in Titania's Razorwing. They fixed the Akin Brunt not fully unfolding when previewing it in the arsenal. They fixed hovering over the Isolation Vault bounties in the Cambion Drift and in windowed mode, resulting in the info box for the bounty going off screen. Squadmate minimap icons appearing blue, and lastly they fixed an inability to trade one of the Detect Vulnerability mod if they're all maxed out. Now that was all 29.5, the main update, and we have the follow-up 29.5.1 fixes from that hotfix. DE fixed a soft lock that could occur if trying to trade a mod and platinum in the same offer. A script error that resulted in the Jackal's Parazon stab not functioning, which resulted in an inability to progress in the fight. Bone Widow's weapon pod blueprint requiring 45 tinks. It now requires 45 scrap, as originally intended. This is obtained from dismantling Servofish, at business in Fortuna, thing that's been around for a year. They have said they will be reviewing the back end to see if any players spent the 45 tink and rushed the blueprint crafting. They fixed the health bar of the contamination unit disappearing in the cracks in the Deimos bounty after a host migration. Bone Widow's Exalted Iron Bride drain a second stat, not appearing when hovering over the ability icon in the arsenal. They fixed Bone Widow sinking when Exalted Iron Bride is being held. Bone Widow's Exalted Iron Bride energy per second displaying 2 instead of the correct 2.5. The bonus UI in the battle stage of the Deimos Delicacies bounty showing the succeed and fail state right when entering the stage. The UI will now properly show the fail state if you go below 50% before the battle stage. Fixes were made towards reinforcement encounters persisting and keeping missions active, preventing further bounties in the same area. They fixed a script error that could occur when attempting to purchase items from the in-game market as a gift. A script error that could occur when putting away the fishing spear at certain spots in the Cambion Drift, a script error related to the True Master font blessing altars in the relays, and they fixed a script error that could occur if a Trinity Spectre used Energy Vampire. So that concludes this very long video focused on only the fixes that came with update 29.5 and hotfix 29.5.1 Deimos Arcana. My voice is my voice, and this concludes the video. See you guys next time in the next video. Yeah, bye.